Hello YouTube friends, I'm Mark Million for CompuMove Systems. What I have for you today is a look at CompuMove's integrated credit card processing system. First we'll do a simple sale and generate a receipt for that sale. Next we'll do a pre-authorization and capture that authorization. And then finally we'll do a refund and also look at how to release an unused authorization. Thanks for joining me. Let's get started. Now the first transaction we're going to do is a simple card sale. You can see I've got my favorite shipper Dave Smith up here, and if we're on the charge screen and I've got revenue entered here, so you can see down at the bottom we've got a receivable balance, and we're going to go ahead and pay that balance off with a card transaction. Now there's a couple different ways to do it, but I'm going to take the simplest way, and that is through the home screen. In the lower right hand corner you can see there's a button that says card sale. Right next to it is a card authorization button. We're not going to do that right now. I'm going to click on card sale, and up comes the card transaction window. And what I'm going to do is enter the universal test Visa number. There it is. Do have to be in a test mode for that to work, so you won't be able to do that yourself. And then I'm going to enter a CCV code, and I'm going to click the address button, and it's going to drop in a street address for me. And then if I hit the transaction amount button, it'll put in the receivable balance on the job. So now I've got to do a confirmation step. If you look right here, there's a button that says take card setup. And so when I click on that, it does a verification of the information I've entered, and if it passes the test, then it turns into post-card transaction. That tells me that the initial qualification of this transaction has succeeded, and now I can push it through to conclusion. So I'm going to hit post-card transaction. I see it says sending. I see it says approved. Obviously it's going out to the credit card transaction gateway, and now it shows my posting process is complete. So at this point I can print a receipt if I would like to. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click on the receipt button. Up comes the payment card activity window. This is a summary of payment card activity for the day. So if I were to go to the MoveBooks menu and pick card activity, I'd arrive at the same place. In this case, I'm focused on a single transaction that I've just completed, so it's opened that up for me, and it's landing on this transaction. You can see it was a transaction code 100, which means success. Shows the amount, shows the transaction identification number, shows the last four digits and the card type. And now I could generate a credit card receipt. I could email it or print it or save it as a PDF. I'll just bring it up under display so that we can have a look at it. So there's a card payment transaction receipts, got my logos, got my name on it, as you can see, all the rest of the information. So I could email this out, I could print it, I could do what I want to. So now if we go into the job journal history, you can see we've got the charges as I calculated them. You can see there was an adjustment, and then you can see the payment for the final amount. So now this card has been run against this job, and this job has been paid in full. Now the next thing you might be interested in doing is using this card again on a particular job, which means that suppose somebody comes and buys packing material and gives you their card, and then they want to pay for the move using the same card. If I go to the billing tab, if you look here in the card transaction setup, you can see that the card number has been preserved just on this single job. And of course it shows the card number in an obscured form because it's PCI compliant. So no one will ever be able to see that card number in full again. It is only shown in full at the moment of entry, and forever it's obscured. There's a similar function with recurring storage billing, where you could actually go in and advance the expiration date on someone's card if they've got the same card and they've just renewed it. Obviously, if somebody has storage lot and you're doing recurring storage billing and they come to you with a completely different card number, then you'd want to delete that card and make a new one. But if the card continues on, you can advance the expiration date and use it again. So in this case, I don't want to do that, but it certainly would be possible. I could select that card. I could do a card authorization, I could do a card sale, and then I'd be able to continue on with that card. The next thing we're going to take a look at is how to do a card pre-authorization followed by a capture. This allows us to pre-authorize payment against someone's card up to a certain amount and then to capture it later once we know what the actual shipment charges are. So we get started with that using the card auth button that sits right next to the card sale button. The overall function of how you fill out the screens is very similar. It just runs a different system through the credit card processing universe. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my card number, and I'm going to put in a expiration date and a CCV code. I'll cycle through the addresses until I have the one that I want, and I'm going to decide on an authorization amount, and I'm going to say $2,000 is what I'm going to do for authorization. And I'm going to say take card setup, and now instead of saying post card sale, it says post card authorization. So if I click on that, it goes out, it gets an approval, and it saves it. I could post a receipt for the authorization if I want to, but I'm not going to do that at this time. So now if I go to the journal screen and I go to the card view, you can see I've got an open card authorization sitting out there. If you look at this journal screen, it's got different views, and one of them is the card view. Because we haven't made a sale, it's not going to show in the financial journal because it hasn't been captured. So what I did was I picked the card view button down there, and then that showed me that outstanding authorization. So now that I have a pending card authorization that I can capture, let's go ahead and put the shipment charges down. So I'm going to go to the charge screen, and I'm going to say in this example 8 hours for a van and 2 men. Let's come down to the packing area, say maybe 8 hours of packing labor. I've got the shares at 100% distributed. So I'm going to go ahead and save that so it'll post the charges. Now when I come back to the home screen and I say card sale, it's going to realize that I've got the outstanding authorization waiting for me. There's the dollar amount of the authorization. That's the max that I'm allowed to have. There's the job balance right there. So what I'm going to do is click on the sale amount button. It'll drop it in. I can say take capture setup, and then now I can say post that card capture, and it goes out and it uses the card authorization to complete the transaction. Note that I didn't have to handle the card again. That was actually saved as an outstanding authorization, and so therefore all I had to do was capture that and then go ahead and process my transaction. Now if I look in the journals for the job and go to the posting view, you can see that the charges were entered and there was the payment and the job is paid in full. So the final thing that I want to do is look at how I manage the history of these transactions in case I need to release an authorization because I'm not going to use it. Somebody wants to use a different card, or perhaps I'm going to give a refund. Let's do the refund first. So I'm going to go to the charges screen of this sample job, and I'm going to reduce the number of hours from 8 to 7.5 so that there's been a revenue reduction. So that means that I've now got a $40.25 credit balance on this job. So we're going to go ahead and save it so that it posts to the record. Then I'm going to go to the journal view, and I'm going to ask for the card view, and I'm going to take that capture. And when I click on the captured authorization, the refund button is revealed at the bottom. So you can see it right there. I'm going to grab the refund button, and then I'm going to post that transaction. So I'll go ahead and click on refund, and up comes the refund window, and I'm going to enter the $40.25 as the refund amount. Now I can't exceed the amount of the initial card sale as a refund. Obviously it won't let me, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to say take refund setup, and I'm going to say post card refund, and once again it goes out and it does the transaction. And now when I look at the view from the financial perspective, you can see here are my shipment charges. including the adjustment that I made to the charges. Here's the original payment that was made. Here's the refund that was given. Now the job is back at a zero balance. Now I can print receipts for these card transactions. If I want to see the bigger picture of the card transactions, I could go to MoveBooks and I could go to card activity, and it shows me all the card activity for the day. Here's the sale that we originally made. Here's the $2,000 authorization. There's the capture of it. There's the refund of it. And any one of these I can make a receipt. So for instance, suppose I want to make a receipt of that refund being given, then that's exactly what I get. If you look at this transaction, it shows transaction type is a refund, shows the dollar amount, shows the shipper name and who it goes to. And then I can email that off or print it or do whatever needs to be done to close out that transaction and make that shipper happy. All right, so the last thing I'm going to want to do is let's do an authorization, and then let's look at how we would release it. So I'm going to go back to card authorization. So I'm going to enter a card number once again. I'm going to give it an expiration date and a code, populate some zip codes, and say I'm going to do an authorization for $1,000. So I take the card setup, I post the card authorization, it's approved, but now when move day comes, instead of doing card sale and grabbing that outstanding authorization, the person says to me, I want to use a different card and I need you to release the authorization that was done on my other card. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the journal screen, we're going to go to the card view, we're going to go to that card authorization that's open, and then down here we have the button that says void the open authorization. I'm going to click on that. I say take void setup. I say post authorization void, and now it releases it so that that is no longer a hold against his credit, and then we could go back and do a new card sale for whichever card he intends to use and then carry forward with this transaction. There are a few other things that go on here. In the billing area, we're actually retaining this card information in a PCI compliant way, meaning that the card number is forever obscured. We'll never see the full card number again. No one can. We only see the stub of it and the kind of card that it was. So if somebody comes in and buys packing material and then wants to use the same card to pay for the move, you don't have to ask them for the card number again. You can just say, do you want me to use the card number that's on file? Or if this is a local move and it converts to a storage job, then that information will actually transfer over, and you can use that same card, should the shipper wish it, to drive the automatic recurring storage billing. There's other functions as well, but those are the highlights. The subject of automatic recurring storage billing is the subject of a different video, so I hope you'll look for that soon. And if you've got any questions about how this process works, please, as always, don't hesitate to reach out to us at our office. We'll be happy to help you. Thanks for watching.